Welcome back. Tax reform will be on the Senate's agenda when lawmakers return from the August recess. Republicans hoping to push through one of the president's top priorities by the end of this year. I'm joined right now by Republican Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah. He is chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. And Senator, it's good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, nice to be with you, Maria.
Well, you and your colleagues in government, including Steven Mnuchin from Treasury and Gary Cohn from the White House, along with Paul Ryan, have released a five-paragraph statement outlining your goals on tax reform. Can you walk us through where the common ground is on tax reform within the Senate?
Well, right now, we've got to make sure that the Democrats are willing to work with us. So far this year, they haven't been willing to work with us. But Senator Wyden, my counterpart on the Finance Committee, has indicated that they're willing to try and work with us as we do tax reform, which, of course, is a wide-ranging, very, very important bill, and it's going to be everything from capital gains to corporate income taxes.
Senator, the president has said that he would like to see a corporate tax rate of 15%. Is that realistic?
Well, that's what the president would like. I think it's possible. However, I think it's more likely. And look, we're going to bring that corporate rate down. I think it's more likely it'll come down somewhere between 20 and 25%. But I'm willing to try to get that for the president. I think that would boom America. That would get businesses going like never before. It would make us competitive in the worldwide marketplace. It would stop the erosion of our companies going to other nations. And frankly, it would be very, very good for America. But I suspect that we'll be lucky if we can get the corporate tax rate down to 20%, even 25%. But we're going to try, and we're going to have some Democrat help to do it, and so far that hasn't been materializing.
Let me ask you about individual rates. Where do you stand on Steve Bannon's idea of raising taxes on the top earners, the rich, to 44.5%?
Well, I'm not for that. We're certainly going to hit the rich. There's no question. They're not going to get anything, hardly anything, out of any tax reform that we do. But the fact of the matter is that. And almost 60% of all taxes are paid by the upper 5%.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Senator. I mean, when you say we're not going to give anything to the rich pay all the taxes. So if you're not cutting taxes on the highest earners, then are you really for cutting taxes? They pay 90% of the tax.
Well, and they're very interested in making sure that the tax rates are reasonable and something that they can live with and something that will boom the economy and stimulate the economy. They know they make a lot more money if the economy's rolling and going very, very well.
In terms of the highest earners, when you say they're not going to get anything, is that because you're going to eliminate all of the deductions?
Well, I'll put it this way. There aren't going to be an awful lot of personal deductions, but a lot of those aren't used anyway. All I can say is that I don't think the rich know that we're going to have to come after them. But they also know that there are certain things in the tax code that are going to benefit those who are creating jobs, creating the economy, creating the opportunities to have jobs and the economy move ahead in the way it should. And they're going to benefit very greatly if they can.
So just to be clear, the president has talked about three brackets, 10%, 25%, and 35%. Are these the rates that look good to you? Is this what you'd like to see? What would you like to see in terms of an individual tax rate for the majority of the country?
Well, I'd like to see it very, very low, but if we could get to those rates, that would be miraculous, and it would be very beneficial for the country. So the president's right on that.
Miraculous? You think it would be it would be a miracle if you got there?
Well, looking at what we have going on in Congress right now, all the difficulties and the catfights across the board and the slowdown of everything by the Democrats, the desire not even to let legislation to come forth, yeah, it would be very difficult to get there. But frankly, I've found that some of my Democrat friends really want to do this. They really want to work on this. And I think people on the Finance Committee are open to working on it. The question is, will their Democrat leadership allow them to do so?
You know, you make a really good point, and it raises the next question, and that is the timeline, when you actually could see this happening. I want to play for you a soundbite from Mark Meadows, because he had some things to say about when to get this bill to the president's desk. Listen to this. Got to get your reaction, Senator.
Okay.
If we do not have a bill that we're actually debating in September, who hopefully gets a vote by October, it will not get to the president's desk by Thanksgiving. If it doesn't get there by Thanksgiving, guys, it isn't going to happen.
Your reaction?
Well, I don't quite agree with that, although he's talking about how difficult it is to get these things done. I mean, he's not way off. I happen to think he's doing the country a favor by stating how really difficult it is in Congress and how difficult it is in any administration to get these things done. Yeah, we need to move ahead, and no question about it.
So do you think you'll do it this year? Is it doable in 2017?
I actually think it is, but it's going to take Democrats and Republicans getting together, putting aside their stupid differences and saying, look, this one time, let's do this for our country, let's do this for our American citizens, let's do this for our economy, let's do this for the world, really, because the United States is the key country in the world. If we're not strong, the rest of the world's going to be in chaos even worse than it is right now.
Well, let me ask you about the differences. When you look at the deductions, where is the most debate going to be, would you say? Which deduction?
Look, I don't think anything is going to be failed to be looked at. I mean, everything in that code is going to be looked at, and we're going to try and do a job that really does the best job to bring people together.
Well, for example, the mortgage deduction, sir. I mean, you know, Peter King from New York says, I can't sign anything that takes away my constituents' mortgage deduction. I can't sign anything that takes away my constituents' state deduction, income state. So, I mean, so where do you think you're going to have the big fights?
You're tough, Maria, is all I can say. Yeah, let me just say that I think there are only two deductions that absolutely are going to be kept. One would be the charitable deduction, and the other one would be the mortgage deductions.
What's the plan if you actually have no support from the other side?
You really believe that, Maria, that our Democrats are that way?
You just said they're on their high horse. They've got to work together. I'm just trying to understand why they don't see what America voted for in November. America wants to see tax reform.
I am so grateful that you're telling the truth in very bold terms the way you are, because that's right. The Democrats have not wanted to do a thing. That's why the first 6 months of this year we haven't even been able to get bills up. About the only thing we've been able to do is get some appointments through, and even then it's slower than ever before. Yeah. And frankly, I think they think they're hurting the Republican Party by doing that. I think they're hurting themselves. Yeah. Because people out there in the country have to look at that and say, what's the matter with those people? There are so many important issues, and especially in the tax world. Why aren't they working to get those done? And why don't they get with the Republicans and see what they can do to bring people together? I'm counting on Chuck Schumer stepping up to the plate and being willing to take some good swings here and to be able to help us rather than just, he knows that I work with him. Yeah. He knows doggone well that I've passed hundreds of bills over my Senate service, and he knows doggone well that those have been bipartisan bills as well. And the famous relationship was Hatch and Kennedy. But it's also a number of others as well. Yeah. And Schumer's one of them. He's got to lead like a Democrat leader ought to lead, and he's got to get some of the wild eyes on his side to come along and say, look, we're willing to save the country. That's more important than all this political crap that we're going through.
Senator, it's good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much.
Nice to talk to you.
We appreciate your time. Senator Orrin Hatch joining us.